Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. You are now watching Begin Now Solutions Framework for Success and Bliss. Now, first things first, why success and bliss? Why together? That question has been posed to me quite a few times now, and I chuckle because up until only a few months ago, I actually would have considered them quite separate. There was the business strategist, solutionist, idea generator, logistician in me that was focusing on helping entrepreneurs achieve success. And then there is the version of me that is a trained success coach, that is a Mind PT certified coach, that is a neuroplasticity hobbyist extraordinaire, that was focusing on bliss. And I really enjoyed doing that. It was one of my passions. But the issue was, as I was operating those separate entities, I really felt disjointed. I felt like there were two parts of me that I had to continue. I'd put one away and bring one out, and then I'd put one away and bring one out, and it never felt cohesive. And for me, it just didn't feel quite right. And what I started realizing in my everyday life is that whenever I achieved something that would fall into the success bucket, I would experience more joy, more happiness, my version of bliss. And the more happy I felt, the more joyful I felt, the more blissful life felt, the easier it was for me to achieve what I wanted. And the cycle, like an infinity symbol, would just keep repeating itself. And then through my studies, I actually found that it's actually scientifically proven by an amazing gentleman called Sean Acor that happiness actually is the key ingredients to success. And without it, you will only achieve so much. And it became really fascinating to me. And I had a personal journey of really focusing on bringing the bliss back into my life because I am a natural doer. I'm an action taker. If I want something, I'm relentless in it. But I got to a point in my life that where things used to come easy for me when it came to action, when it came to going after something, I started struggling for years. And it felt foreign and I couldn't understand it. And I finally decided to put a pause on my doing and my action taking and really seeking bliss in my life. But even though that was my mission and that was something I pursued, I quickly realized that it was in my action that I was able to experience more bliss. I couldn't experience bliss just by sitting or just by simply being somewhere. I do believe in mindfulness. I do believe in being thoughtful. I do believe in being quiet. Those things are incredibly valuable and have been invaluable to me. But that is not in and of itself what creates bliss or success. It's that coupled with action and the right kind of action that achieves both. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why I believe you are taking your precious time out to listen to this video. But I will tell you that this is going to be the last video that you can listen to. If you choose to continue with this coursework with me, you're going to have to take action. Because the structure I'm going to provide to you, the framework I'm going to offer to you, is going to be meaningless if you don't take action. I read this once, and honestly, I can't remember where I read it, so I can't give proper credit. But basically, learning something or attending a program or attending a course without taking the appropriate action steps as a result of it is nothing more than entertainment. And if this is entertainment to you, fabulous. That is wonderful. I'm so glad to spend that time with you. But if you are here because you are looking for results, you are looking to be somewhere different than where you are today, then I'm here to tell you, you must take action. And the action doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. And that is one of the main reasons why I named my business what I did, Begin Now. Because it was a constant reminder to myself and to those that I work with that nothing else matters if you're waiting at the starting gate. No matter what it looks like, if you simply begin, you're better off than you were before. It is my passion, it is my mission to help you increase both the success and the bliss in your life. And it can be easy, and it can feel graceful, and it can feel uncomplicated, and it can feel easy. And that's simply by taking the right strategic action steps, putting them together toward a specific goal that you're after, setting priorities, deciding on your tactics and your action steps, and then creating an implementation plan to achieve. That easy. Okay, training's done. We don't need to talk about anything else. I'm just teasing. Everything I just talked about, if that's the language you use, if that's familiar to you, then this course is going to be absolutely a breath of fresh air to you. It's going to be easy, you're going to execute immediately, and I guarantee you within a week or two you're going to be sending me messages and telling me how you're achieving goal after goal after goal in your life. But if those words, those phrases are unfamiliar to you, then we have a little bit of a longer journey ahead of us. And that is okay, because what do they say? Enjoy the journey. Life is but a journey. And it's true. And I speak from experience. I'm going to touch on, so in this course, we are going to be touching on personal health and career and finance. And this video is being viewed by both groups right now, but all the subsequent videos will be separate for both of you. But I want to touch on why those two areas and why I think they're so intermingled and why I think they are truly the most critical to just your overall well-being and your overall success and your overall bliss in your life. If you think about it, if you really, really, really boil it down and you're honest and you don't let the emotions get in front of you, no matter how satisfied you are with your life, how happy you are about where you are, and if you are someone who believes that you're in the right place for the right reasons and that's how it's meant to be, I agree with you. I try to have as few regrets in my life as possible. Every single journey I've been through has been a lesson. I believe there's some reason why I'm on that journey, but at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm not going to try to make it a little bit easier for myself going forward. I don't believe that in order to learn all of the lessons that I'm meant to in this life, that it has to take a long time and that I have to struggle deeply. I don't believe those things are true. And I believe by learning from our own wisdom, learning from other people's wisdom, and by learning to listen to your higher wisdom, you can really accelerate your results and you can really lessen the struggle. Because as they say, the struggle is real. I'm not going to take that away from you. We aren't going to be talking about all butterflies and sunshines and unicorns, even though I love all of those things. This is going to feel uncomfortable to many of you. In order to get results, you are going to have to act differently, be differently, do differently, and talk differently. Because if all of those things are the same, you're going to get the same results. If you're looking for different results, those things are going to have to change. And the degree in which you change them is going to be the degree of the results you're going to get. And that degree of change is completely up to you. In some areas, some of you might be ready for huge changes. And in some areas, some of you are only going to be ready for really incremental, small changes. And those are perfect because in a subsequent video, I'm actually going to show you how simply looking to achieve an increase of 5% toward your result area month over month will actually double your results within a year. But if you change that number to 10% month over month, you can double your results in just 6 months. But both of those numbers, if you look at the first 3 months of results, they look virtually identical. It's only in months 4, 5, and 6 that the gap gets incrementally bigger. But what happens? Most of us take action. We give it 1 month, maybe 2 months, and then we say we aren't any better off than we were, and we go back to doing exactly what we were doing before. And the reality is, you need to be in it for the long haul. This isn't a magic bullet. This isn't any kind of magic pill that's going to get you instantaneous results. This is a marathon. Now, you can run your marathon in 10 hours, in 8 hours, in 6 hours, in 5 hours, in 4 hours. And you know what? I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even know how long it's reasonable to run a marathon. So, if I'm making stuff up completely, just please ignore me, because I'm not a runner. I'm gonna be very open about that. But the point is that I do know that in a marathon, there is a huge gap between the first person crossing the finish line and the last person crossing the finish line. But you know what's the same? They both cross the finish line. And in the end, after you cross the finish line, it does not matter how long it took you to get there. And I'm going to give you 2 of my own personal examples, one from my personal health area and one from my career and finances. So by now, you may know that 7 years ago, I left a lucrative corporate job to raise my children full time. Although I wouldn't have made a different decision, I wish I knew now what I knew. I wish I knew then what I know now, because I would have approached the situation differently. I would have been better prepared. I would have had different tools. I would have given myself some more grace. I would have been a little bit more forgiving with myself. But, as we say, hindsight is 20/20, and that's all it is. It's hindsight. The only thing I can do is learn from that and move forward. But 7 years ago, I had my second son. I left a career that not only was financially lucrative, but I since realized was actually an enormous part of my identity and a critical part of my self-worth at the time. And I also entered into a role called stay-at-home mom, of which I wanted to be in, but if I'm honest with myself, in years before, I didn't actually respect. I had no idea what it was to be a stay-at-home mom. I know now differently, of course, but I had all that programming in my mind. So not only was I battling self-doubt, I was battling my identity. I was also battling a stigma that I created in my own mind, and that society to some degree actually perpetuates. But I was also, for the first time since I was maybe 12, didn't have an income of my own. Now, yes, I was married. I'm still married. And yes, our household income is comfortable. But again, at the time, I had no idea how important it was to me to have my own income. For decades, since my earliest memories, I was in control of my financial situation. And all of a sudden, I wasn't. You know what? That's a scary place to be. And I'm sure some of you watching this video might be thinking, oh, I wish I had someone else to help pay the bills with me. And it's true. I am not at all going to take away from the fact that to the outside world, I had nothing to complain about. But in here, in my mind, I couldn't imagine a worse horror. And in the end, reality is only what is in between our 2 ears. Because you take any 10 different people and you expose them to the exact same set of circumstances, And they are going to tell you a different tale of the version of those events. Why? Because it's not just the outside world that impacts our reality. It's our belief systems. It's how we view things. It's the lens through which we look at things. That all shapes our reality. And we feel and we react based on our reality. Now, what I've learned since then is I can influence what's going on in here. I can work to change that. And that actually influences what my reality is. So there's a lot of things going on here. But the bottom line is, during that period of time, I had one of the worst the worst health crisis of my life. It wasn't one of the, it was the. I had gained almost 80 pounds after I had my children. Now, for someone who was never naturally skinny, that was a blow of the biggest proportions. I had extreme depression, extreme anxiety, and then 2 years ago I suffered from a stroke. A full-blown, in the hospital for 3-week stroke. One would think that's a pretty low. But I still wasn't ready to really do things differently. Frankly, because I just didn't know what to do with the information. And when it boiled down to it, I was working really, really hard. I was seeking health. I was seeking advice. I was investing a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of my resources into finding solutions. But if I have to be honest with myself, I was looking for solutions externally. I was looking for someone else to solve my problems, to give me the magic answer. And the harsh truth is, I just needed to take action. That was the missing part of the equation for me. I just wasn't taking enough action. I spent too much time reading, too much time listening, too much time learning, and not enough time doing. There's a time and a place for all of those things. But if a large percentage of your day is not acting in a strategic way, now it's not just acting for the sake of acting, because that's a whole nother set of problems. Basically, that's being on the hamster wheel, and that's going to get you nowhere quick. But there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance between inaction and non-strategic action. I'll put it that way. And what I realized about 6 months ago is that my innate skills were perfect to solve this problem. I know how to take a set of constraints, how to take a set of puzzle pieces, a set of information, rearrange them in such a way to find a solution where most people only see obstacles. So finally, 6 months ago, I put all of my external information sources away. I put my books away, I put my courses away, I put my emails that I read and the blogs that I read, I put everything away. And I sat down and I did my own analysis. Where am I today? Where do I want to be? And what are the tiny incremental steps I need to do to get there? And when it came to getting rid of all of that extra weight, I stopped focusing on the 60 pounds. And in case you're keeping track, I had actually lost 20 of those over the last couple of years. And I was kind of playing with 60 left. But when I thought about losing 60 pounds, that felt like climbing Mount Everest. Between my two ears said, it's been years. Every year that goes by, you're further and further away from being able to get it. You're getting older, you're getting slower, your metabolism is slow. It's just not gonna happen. Let it go. But there was a part of me that was not willing to let it go. And I thought, for years, I've been focusing on 60 pounds. Let's try it a different way. So I focused on 2 pounds. Literally 2, just 2. And I lost about 2 pounds in a week. And after that week, I said, okay, what worked? What didn't work? What are we gonna keep doing this week? And what are we going to stop doing this week? And let's go for 2 more. And it took me about 9 or 10 days to do 2 more, because there's those plateaus that keep coming along. And I literally repeated and repeated, week after week, month after month. 6 months later, I'm down 40 pounds. No magic, no special diets, no special workouts, just simply creating tiny goals that my brain can believe I can achieve, looking at my life realistically and deciding what I could do and what I couldn't do, making difficult decisions, saying no an awful lot, and keeping my eye on the prize. And every single week on Sunday night, I would look back, I would measure my results, I would look back and say, what are the steps that I took that I believe helped me toward my goal? And what are the steps that I took that I believe detracted me from my goal? And to the best of my ability, every single week I would course correct. I would try to include more of the things that worked, and I would try to continue decreasing the things that didn't work. And I just repeated over and over again. Now the difference is, that is what I used to do for a living. That is how my brain operates. When I finally tapped into my own resources and took that previous natural ability of mine and reapplied it in an area where I'd forgotten how to do that. Can you imagine after a few weeks how I felt when I was like, oh my God, really? I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I've spent over the last 7 years in pursuit of my health, of an ideal weight, of feeling better. And I had what I needed all along. And I can't say that my mentors and guides and teachers didn't tell me that along the way. But I didn't hear it in a way that I could actually put the puzzle pieces together. And for me, it really just became a very simple formula. So since it worked for my weight when it hadn't for so long, and just to be 100% forthright, during that period of time, when I was able to really step back and look at things differently, I saw other solutions emerge. And one of the solutions was I finally found a doctor that was able to help me look at my hormones differently. And it turns out that I had a hormone imbalance. And so when I started on natural hormone replacement therapy, it became even easier to stick with those programs. And so I absolutely believe you're going to find tools and resources that are going to continue making things easier for you. But I will say, even if I was on hormone therapy, if I had not looked and assessed what I was doing, what was bringing me closer to my goals, what was taking me away from my goals, and if I didn't change my actions accordingly, I don't think I would have had the results that I did. I don't think it was the hormones that magically solved all of my problems. They certainly contributed to making it easier to continue on, but I still had to do the work. And I think that's the missing piece, is you have to find the solution that's going to work for you. And I like to say there's 1,000 diets out there. The only one that's going to work is the one you can stick to. Same thing with career and finance. If we flip, I had spent years learning, trying things out, testing different marketing plans, testing different sales strategies, playing around with services and products. The only thing that was a consistent success for me was a business that I actually opened up for my parents. And ironically, I think it's because it wasn't for me. So therefore, I was able to use the resources I naturally have, because it's a lot easier for me to project them outward than it is to project them inward, which is the ironic part about this whole thing. But that's not unusual for a lot of people. It's a lot easier for us to use our gifts externally than it is to use them internally. But during this journey, what I was really looking for was to be able to do work that I loved and to be able to bring in enough income to live the lifestyle that I desired. Isn't that ultimately what all of us want? For one of you, that might mean $50,000 a year. For another one of you, that may mean 20. For someone else, that may mean 100. And for someone else, that may mean 1,000,000 and 100 iterations in between. The number actually is irrelevant. It is what you need, not what your neighbor needs, not what your best friend needs, not even what I need. It's what you need. And that's the difference. When you go through this framework, it literally is all about you. It is not a formula, because what a formula says is you follow these plans, you follow these step-by-step plans, and you will achieve what I've achieved. And I can't promise you that, because I could lay out my formula for happiness, for weight loss, for career advancement, for attracting clients, for saving money, from acquiring inventory, from acquiring real estate. And you can follow the exact same steps that I followed, and I could pretty much almost guarantee you're going to have different results. Some of you will have better results. Some of you will have not as good results. So I don't want to give you a formula, because the steps that I took to get me to where I am right now, standing in front of you, passionately wanting what I am now feeling for you to feel, I can't replicate that. So what can I do? I can give you a framework. I could teach you how to critically think. I can teach you how to extrapolate the information I give you and apply it to your own life. And I can invite you to allow me to be your mentor and your guide. Many of you will know that I actually am offering a program that is going to begin on Monday, the 19th of September. And what you will find, though, with this series is that it is not going to be the bits and pieces of crumbs of content to lure you into the mouse hole to walk through and invest so that I can give you the rest of the content. I'm going to give you all of my content, because frankly, the content is not the critical component. The content might make it a little bit easier for you, might give you a few shortcuts, it might give you a little bit sense of confidence, it might help just narrow your frame of thinking a little bit. It very well may accelerate your results, and I hope it does. Truly, nothing would make me happier is if you were to watch this series of videos and you were to leave me a message and saying, by following your framework, by listening to your advice, by taking the steps you suggested I take, I'm further ahead than I was yesterday. Literally, if please flood my inbox with those messages if that's what it is, because truly, there's no better gift than you can give me at that point. But I recognize that if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're tired, if you've been working really, really, really hard and just not getting the results you think you should be getting, you may need help. You may need someone to walk alongside you and help you course correct. You may need someone else to look at your puzzle pieces and think about putting them together in a different way. You may need someone to talk with. You may need someone to troubleshoot with. And you may need someone to touch base with you every single day to make sure you're still taking the action steps that you said are important to you. And if you need someone like that, I invite you to consider me being that someone for you. But regardless of whether or not you need someone to help you, regardless of whether or not you would like me to be that someone, I invite you to learn my framework for success and bliss, because it is something you will be able to use over and over and over again, at home, at work, in your business, in your professional life, in your personal life, with your children, with your parents, with your siblings, with your friends, in your organizations, in your volunteer work, anywhere you are looking to create different results in your business or in your life. This framework will serve you. And the more often you execute it, the better you're gonna get at it, the more natural you're gonna become at it. All of us came out of the womb, one way or another, immobile. And most of us, God willing, are fully mobile today. And if you are, every single one of us that is currently mobile went from birth to mobility. And we each did it at different times, in different ways, with different resources, and with different levels of help. Some of us walked before we crawled. Some of us scooted on our rear ends for a really long time and then got up and ran. Some of us needed to hold on to our mom's fingers for a really long time before we were willing to let go. Some of us ran off from our mothers before we even had a time to know any better. We were all different then, and we're all different now. But somewhere along the way, we all got there. And none of us in kindergarten swapped stories on when we learned to walk and how we did it and how much help we needed and how long it took. We never even talked about it. It was there. And I invite you to look at your results in the exact same way. Ultimately, it does not matter how you get there, when you get there, or with whom you get there. The only thing that matters is if you want to be there, that you get yourself there. Personally, I don't like wasting time, and I like to do things as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, but also as enjoyably as possible. Because at this stage in my life, I really realize that without feeling joy in my life, without experiencing that bliss, none of it matters anyway. So I invite you on this journey over the next several days. Please leave me your comments. I want to know what you think of the material. I want to know how you think you could apply it in your life. I want to hear about your tiny wins. I want to hear about your medium wins. I want to hear about your big wins. I want to celebrate with you. And if you try and something doesn't work, let me know that too, and I'll help you course correct. Because that's what it's all about. Trust me, I've run full speed ahead only to realize, oops, lady, you're wrong in the wrong direction. You gotta go that way. Oh well. At least I ran. I got my exercise in, I got my steps in for the day. But that's okay, we can course correct, and then we can turn the other way and run in the direction that we're meant to be running in. Or maybe we were meant to pick somebody up along the way. But let's just start moving. We don't want to remain stagnant. We want growth and expansion and awakening and abundance and prosperity and bliss and success for all. If you know someone who can benefit from watching this video and from learning a framework that they can literally apply to every area of their life over and over again, because this is not an event, it's not a sprint, it's a lifelong marathon. I want to give you the tools for success and bliss indefinitely. Until next time, thanks for watching.